Today I'm making a cutting board from this 4/4 black walnut. I was lucky to find a piece that has so much curl in it. It's going to look really good. I'll cut the board to rough size, about 14 inches by 10 inches. I also cut some strips of curly maple and padauk, so I can have this cool strip of contrasting wood running the length of the board. I'll make some room for those bands by ripping the walnut at about 1/3 of the width. I'm pretty happy with this layout, so we'll go ahead and joint the faces of each board to get them nice and clean. And then glue everything up. When the glue dries, I set my digital caliper to some arbitrary length. This looks like about 1/2 inch. And then I'm running it along the edge of the board and scoring a line into the face. These scored lines are guidelines for where I'll route a juice groove. Using this round nose bit in a trim router, I'll clamp the board down against a straight edge fence that the router can run along to cut a juice groove in right where I've scored those lines 1/2 inch from the edge. Now if I would just stop right here, this would be perfect. But I was too lazy to clamp a stop block at the end to keep the router from going too far, so I tried to hold it in place and turn it off before I lifted it off the workpiece. And as a result, I both overshot this cut and burned the wood where I held the router down too long. Next time I'll go for stop blocks and a proper plunge router. But for my first go at a cutting board, it's just going to be something I have to live with. In the meantime, I'm using this pair of dividers to project the corner radius from the juice groove onto the corner of the cutting board. It's going to let me take it over to the disc sander and grind down these corners into smooth, rounded edges. Now I'm sanding both sides through 80, 120, and 220 grit sandpaper. And then it's time to add one extra touch on the side opposite the juice groove. Now I'll sand by hand any places that I can't reach with the orbital sander. And while I'm at it, I'll ease over the edges of the boards so that they're soft to handle. I'm finishing this board with walnut oil, which is a pretty popular choice for a food-safe finish on something like this. After I used this board a couple times, I felt like the walnut oil alone left the grain a little bit too open, so I actually came back and refinished with a tung oil finish that cures hard. Now, finally, after years, I can stop chopping vegetables directly on my kitchen counter.